Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we'll be discussing the time that Fred and George Weasley nearly killed their younger brother, Ron. Just about anyone who's familiar with the Harry Potter series will be able to tell you that Ron Weasley's older twin brothers, Fred and George, were troublemakers. From our very first introduction to the twins outside of Platform 9 3/4 in 1991, when they tried to trick their mum into thinking Fred was George and George was Fred, it was quite obvious that these two wizards loved messing about, playing pranks and getting up to mischief. Throughout the series, we see them perform some of the most daring pranks in the history of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. They were the students responsible for liberating the Marauder's map from Filch's office. They knew all of the castle's secret passageways, thanks to the map, and even created their own troublemaking suites, testing out their Skiving Snackbox creations on unsuspecting first years. They then continued their mischief-making after Hogwarts, dropping out before they graduated and opening their own joke shop in Diagon Alley, Weasleys Wizard Wheezes. And yet, sometimes, the twins took their mischievous ways a little too far, like the time they nearly killed Ron. Well, sort of. Let me explain. When Ron was just 5 years old, Fred and George, both being 7 at the time, decided to try and make their younger brother undergo the unbreakable vow. Here's a passage from the Half-Blood Prince in which Ron shares the experience with Harry. Well, you can't break an unbreakable vow. I'd worked that much out for myself, funnily enough. What happens if you break it then? You die, said Ron simply. Fred and George tried to get me to make one when I was about 5. I nearly did too. I was holding hands with Fred and everything when Dad found us. He went mental, said Ron, with a reminiscent gleam in his eyes. Only time I've ever seen Dad as angry as Mum. Fred reckons his left buttock has never been the same since. At the time, the Weasley boys were just children, but obviously this went too far, even for the troublemaking twins. As Ron described to Harry, the Unbreakable Vow is a powerful spell that binds an oath between two people. The terms of the oath are set forth and agreed upon between either party, as the two people entering the agreement hold each other's hands. A third person must then cast the spell and act as witness to the vow. If either party involved in the Unbreakable Vow breaks any of the terms of the oath, they die. Within the Harry Potter series, we only ever see one person enter into the Unbreakable Vow, Severus Snape. Snape's Unbreakable Vow was with Narcissa Malfoy, and involved him taking an oath to protect Draco and help him fulfill his orders from Voldemort to kill Albus Dumbledore. And since we only have examples of older, more experienced witches and wizards participating in this spell, it's hard to say how advanced and difficult the magic is to perform. Which brings us back to the time that the twins tried to perform the vow on Ron. The question here is whether or not they would have actually been able to complete the spell, as at the time, they were inexperienced kid wizards who had yet to receive any sort of magical education. So even though they were all set up to do the vow, with Ron holding Fred's hand and George ready to cast it, were the twins even capable of performing this type of magic? Well, the fact that Arthur Weasley was so furious with the twins when he discovered the boys about to do the vow suggests that, yes, they would have been able to complete the spell, or at the very least some form of it, in which there likely would have been some very severe consequences indeed. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. What did you think? Is this the worst mischief the Weasley twins ever got up to? What other times do you think Fred and George took their troublemaking too far? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live